Hi, Chris. Hope you're doing well down there.
Hi, Mike. Doing well, thank you.
Good, good. You and Nick, I mean, you look at your career paths, you've either been coaching against one another or coaching with one another for much of it. I'm just wondering, I mean, was this all sort of inevitable that you get to this point again?
It is kind of unique. We've been circling each other for a long time, sharing the same journey. Uh, I guess it was inevitable in a lot of ways. I mean, Nick had reached out when he first got the job at the time, and New Orleans wasn't in a position to let me go. So that was our first attempt at trying to get together on this side. But after being together in Europe, but fortunate, reached out again immediately this summer, and I jumped at the opportunity, and it was just more. It was more than Nick too. It was just Masai and Bobby and Teresa. The entire front office was, very, very, very positive and excited to have me join them. So that meant a lot too.
And two individuals as competitive as you and Nick are, I mean, at what point did this become almost a friendship? You know what I mean?
Well, really, it's all down to him.
Yeah.
He's a little bit more outgoing, more of an extrovert, I would say. And it was after a game that we played, and it was right before Christmas, and he had invited me to a Christmas party that I was having at his house. And he lived about 30 miles away from me. We were big rivals at the time, and I just went over there for a Christmas party, and really kind of that was the start of it. We became fast friends ever since and built up a relationship. We've always respected each other and admired the way our teams played, but having then worked together with the Olympic program, it was just phenomenal experience just because, he's such an outstanding coach. I learned so much along the way at the time, and we were able to share ideas. And then both going through the Houston program and being challenged that in that capacity was also, great experience for both of us.
Do you have a favorite Nick Nurse story that you'd care to share with us?
Not one that comes to mind immediately. Not one that I can share.
I put you on the spot. I appreciate that. Thanks, Chris. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll head now to Josh Lewinberg with TSN.
Hey, Chris, welcome. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, thanks, Josh.
I'm wondering how much you remember about the first time you met Nick and what you can share with us in terms of that story.
Wow. I think the first time I met him was at the Adidas Euro Camp, which was held in England at the time. This is back, I think Tony Parker was like the MVP of the camp, so that gives you a time frame. And it was just a casual conversation. We have a mutual friend, a journalist in the United Kingdom, and we never really had connected before that, but we were all sitting around just kind of talking outside in the parking lot. I, of course, had played against him. He was coaching at the time. I was still playing. And then really after that, the first time we really kind of shared any in-depth conversations were at, and I don't know if I could pick a specific moment, but we would scout. We would drive all over England to watch other teams play. And we would just old school, high school, college way, just sit in the stands and scout. And we would just end up we would sit with each other and watch the game and talk and laugh and joke around, but just kind of on a general level. But it was interesting. Whenever we played each other within the next week or so, we would never sit with each other. We would always sit at opposite sides of the gym. So, but probably during those scouting trips when we got to know each other a little bit better.
Just so you don't think we only have Nick questions, I want to ask about Kyle as well. I guess you spent some time with him in Houston. What was he like at that point in his career, and what's it been like to watch him develop into the player and the person he is today?
No, it's been phenomenal to watch, Kyle develop. I think I was with him 1 year in Houston, that was my first year in the league. And it was the lockout year. There was a lot of kind of moving parts during that season for us, just with Coach McHale was his first year. Kyle was trying to lead a young team that was transitioning from a bunch of veteran players, the Battiers and the Chuck Hayeses and the guys that he had kind of been to the Rockets with. So everything was in flux. He was still a great player. You could see the tenacity, which he played with. And he's just kind of rounded out his game, and the confidence and his ability to kind of just control a game and win a game and take over a game. Those were things that he didn't have quite yet in Houston, but had gotten the opportunity and perfected. And he's a champion now. And once you achieve that status, that's well deserved and never to be taken away from you.
Thanks, Chris. Good to talk to you.
Thank you.
We'll head next to Stephen Lung with Sportsnet.
Hey, Chris. Welcome to the Raptors.
Thanks.
Sorry, I have another one about Nick for you here.
That's fine.
You mentioned how Nick Hunter first reached out to you when he first got the gig as Raptors head coach. I was wondering, did he continue to reach out to you every year? And then what were those conversations like this year to allow it to finally happen?
Yeah. No, I mean, just the first year. And then, I was locked into a situation in New Orleans, which I very much enjoyed. And then we kind of talked down in the bubble. May have felt there was some change coming, with our situation in New Orleans. And he just said, hey, would love to have you. There wasn't a ton of recruiting or chatter back and forth. He just, we kind of know each other so well. And I think it was really just letting my situation throughout the off season. It's not really the summer, throughout the off season kind of play out and see where I landed, where I stood. And I had some interest from some teams, but to be able to join this organization, so highly regarded, and working with somebody that, is, not only a friend, but also an incredible coach and has done great things in his short time there. I was excited. Plus, I was excited. I don't know many people in the organization coming in, and the opportunity to work with new people, I think, is very important. So I'm excited for everything. I'm just kind of my eyes wide open. I feel like a rookie in the league in a lot of ways.
And just one more for me. Nick kind of mentioned you as a great offensive mind. So I was really curious, just what do you think makes makes a good NBA offense? What do you look for in that area?
Well, I think obviously the game now is so fast and so fluid, and I've been fortunate enough to always kind of want to play that way. So I think the most important thing right now is to be highly unpredictable. When you get to the playoffs, everybody kind of knows who you are and what you do well, and that's where they start to try to stop you. So the more randomness that you can have, the more purpose within that randomness, more structure that you can have, it's always great. But at some point, the game comes down to you playing basketball in some sort of random mindset, and if you can do that really well from the beginning, it's really hard for teams to guard you. And I think that's, been one of the calling cards of a lot of teams that I've been associated with, is that we've been able to maintain that type of unpredictability.
Thanks a lot, Chris. And again, welcome to the Raptors.
Thank you very much.
We'll head now to Eric Kareen with The Athletic.
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking the time today. Sort of piggybacking on that last question, the Raptors, obviously a great team the last few years. Last year, they were awesome defensively, awesome in transition, and half court is sort of their relative weakness. And again, in the playoffs, that sort of showed itself. Digging into the tape, what did you see as some of the problems? And as an offensive mind, what would you try to sort of enhance?
Yeah, I think we can improve our cutting. I think we can improve as it pertains to our cutting and our movement on the floor. I think we can tweak some of our spacing rules and some things. I think also finding new opportunities for the likes of Pascal to score or put the ball in his hands to create opportunities for his teammates. A little more unpredictability there, maybe some misdirection, some things. I think what you see right now in the playoffs is teams are just really loading up. They're loading up to these really dynamic the Giannis's, the Pascals. I mean, they're selling out to stop these guys, and we need to get him comfortable playing in different capacities, if you will, during the regular season. So when he sees playoff style defenses and schemes, which you don't see every night in the league, but you'll see from some teams, you've got to get him comfortable with all these looks. And the more looks that we can give something, the difference, the more variation we have in our offense is going to force teams to give us more looks. So we kind of can, give ourselves a little taste test on what that's going to look like and what we need to be prepared for.
Makes sense, Chris. Enjoy Tampa and welcome to the organization.
Thank you very much.
We'll head now to Ryan Wolstadt with the Toronto Sun.
Hey, Chris. I'm just curious. I know you said you didn't know too many people besides Nick, but any good international battles with Sergio's teams at all?
Oh, yeah. Lots of them.
Yeah. And also, after that one, how much do you think the Houston organization, just the way they did things and the experimentation, all that, helped both you and Nick when he was with the D-League team there kind of prepare for where the league has gone to now?
Yeah. To the first question with regards to Sergio, I had a lot of battles with him. We always seem to be drawn into their group in European championships and or the Olympics. We matched up well with them. I mean, they're a worldwide powerhouse. We were not quite on that level, but we matched up well because we always had good, strong bigs. Our guard play was not as strong as theirs, but our up front court play was very strong. A lot of them actually played in Spain. So we were not necessarily afraid of them, and we were able to kind of mitigate the Gasols, if you will. So we had a lot of close games. Unfortunately, we never were able to beat him when it mattered. But what an unbelievable job he's done building a champion there. And so I know him well, and it's going to be fun to work with him. I still try to stay in touch with the European game as much as I can. I have lost a little bit of contact with it, but working with Sergio is going to help me, stay on top of what's going on, because I think I was fortunate enough in general to be in Europe, just like Nick, at the time when there was just this cross-pollination of ideas, like both basketball and the international game and basketball and the North American game were sharing ideas, and players were starting to move way more freely both directions. And this was kind of coming out in the style of play. You could see it quite evidently. As far as our experience in Houston, I can't speak specifically to how it has helped Nick or what he learned, but I'm sure it was similar to mine, and overall it was great. I always played fast. We always played, took a lot of threes. So before I got to this analytically driven world, I had a natural trust of what the numbers and the analytics were saying. A lot of coaches are at the other end of the spectrum where they're being asked to trust something that they may not have seen working in person. So once I got there, it all kind of made sense. I never sat down and did the math behind what we were doing at the time. It was kind of a new science, if you will. And then probably one of the most enlightening things that happened to me in my time in Houston, particularly in the D-League, was they just urged me to be as creative as possible and try things and experiment. As coaches, we tend to be conservative. We tend to always focus on the things that we know work, that we've done in the past. And they were always asking me to push the envelope and let's try something, but let's measure it. Maybe it doesn't work. That's fine. That's why you're there. Like, we'll see what translates to the NBA level. We'll be able to figure that out. And I mean, I've got somehow labeled an offensive guy, but that's really what they wanted me to focus on. And so I just kind of took it and ran with it. And then Nick had a very similar experience on the other side of the ball, challenging him to come up with new schemes and new tactics, new coverages, whatever it might be. And let's see if it works. Let's see if it translates.
Great. Thanks a lot.
We'll head now to Karen Loftus with WFLA.
Hey, Coach Finch. I don't know if you remember me from New Orleans when I was with WGNO. I covered the Pelicans there, but I'm in Tampa now. So,
Oh, welcome.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
just talking about collaborating with Nick Nurse, are you looking forward to what you guys can do with two offensive minds together, and sort of what's the vision for this team? I mean, are you planning on running the ball through Alex Len, or, what are some of the early thoughts here?
Well, for sure, trying to get caught up to speed. I mean, Nick and I have a lot of very similar philosophies, but the fine tuning is going to be up to him, really. Just trying to get up to speed on the things that he wants, try to look where we can make some immediate gains in whether it be style of play or player development, or, applying style of play through player development, if you will. And then, really just then as the season unfolds, it's just about like how we adjust to what we find as the strengths and weaknesses of our team. I mean, every team is going to be a little different. You got to try to track towards those things that your team does well, and stay away from the things that they don't. I think that'll kind of be one of my roles, and just being the policeman on that whole process. And one thing I love about working with Nick is, like, he's highly inquisitive, super creative. Everything starts with a question, which forces everyone to think and come up with, some sort of answer or an idea to throw back at them. And that's an extremely engaging and fun environment to work in.
And then also, what are your thoughts on relocating temporarily to Tampa? It at least keeps you in some warmer weather still for a little bit.
Well, I mean, I'm all for it. I got lucky because I'm an off-season Bay Area native. I live out on Treasure Island, so this is home for me. And I'm one of the few people that's not been uprooted and relocated. So one of those unique breaks in your life.
All right. Thank you so much. Good to see you again.
Okay, thanks. Good to see you.
And now to Ed Encina with the Tampa Bay Times.
Hi, Chris. You kind of mentioned a little bit of this about, Nick and kind of his style in terms of asking questions and the interaction. But, for those of us in Tampa who are a little bit new to the Raptors, what is it that makes him a really, really good coach?
Well, I think, first and foremost, he knows who he is as a coach. I mean, he's gone through the process as a young coach, having, figured out the trial and error of what he likes and what works for him and what he believes in and how to apply it. So he knows, he has a strong identity of who he is. He's not afraid to fail. Not afraid to coach his players in the manner, not afraid to coach his players hard or in whatever manner it takes. But at the end of the day, like, he's also got great leadership skills. At the end of a lot of these jobs, they're so big. You can hire all the experts you want to be good at the X's and O's or player development or scouting or whatever may help you. These jobs are about leadership. You got to be good with people. You got to have a direction. You got to get people to want to follow you. And I think those are things that come natural to him.
I know you guys got used to in the bubble, working out in renovated ballrooms and stuff like that. I mean, this facility that you guys are building at this hotel in Tampa. Have you heard much of it, and what, just in terms of what this could be? I think some of the guys have kind of talked about, but you guys can now kind of choose how you want to make something now that you've seen it happen in the bubble. What do you kind of know about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be great. I really do. I had, had we had not had the bubble experience, then I think players may be a little bit more, reluctant, if you will. But I was with New Orleans at the time in the bubble, but I think a lot of the experience was the same. I mean, players really enjoyed going to work, going to practice. We had some of the best practice we've had in all season and in the bubble, partly because players wanted to get out and play again. But it was just a nice, intimate, self-contained environment. Shooting angles were great. Space was great. Lighting was great. Everything was, I mean, we have state-of-the-art, top-of-the-line facilities in the NBA, but, people were still we had everything we needed in the bubble, and we will have everything we need here. So there's no reason that it's not going to be an excuse for us that our practice facility isn't up to standard. It'll be everything we need to be competitive. And we don't make excuses about the places that we go or the things we have to do to be successful.
Thanks, Chris.
Just a few more here for you. Next one, Aaron Rose with Sports Illustrated.
Hey, Chris, welcome to the Raptors. I'm wondering when you see what Nurse did last year with Adrian Griffin, letting him coach a game, and you see guys leaving the Raptors organization for head coaching opportunities elsewhere. What does that say to you signing with the team?
Well, I mean, it's, being with a great organization and a team that's winning at a high level is always an excellent platform and springboard to going on to bigger and better things. And for me, that's my own head coaching opportunity. But I didn't come here for that. I mean, those things happen, when I came here to help these guys win. I came here to help Nick. I came here to be a part of a first-class organization.
And we've talked a lot about your offensive brilliance. Do you have defensive philosophies that you want to share with us? Are you strictly an offensive guy, or
No. I mean, that's, again, I spent the first 20 years of my life coaching as a head coach. I never was an assistant before I made it to the NBA. And as such, of course, I had to coach both sides of the floor. My defensive philosophy is closely aligned with Nick. I'm excited to be, working again with him and just kind of picking up some of the finer points, which, having worked in a lot of different organizations, you work with a lot of different types of defensive coordinators, if you will, who all have great philosophies, but they're all a little different. So I'm really anxious to see here, because their defense, having coached offense against it, is very hard to score on, and it's relentless. So it's a lot of what I would employ if given the opportunity to do so. Ball pressure, taking away the paint, getting out and contesting shots. Every opportunity contest passes, like, up the aggressiveness. And then a lot of the NBA defenses have kind of fallen into maybe a less aggressive state, if you will, for a variety of reasons. But the Raptors, we have the mindset and the ability and the athleticism to get out and be more aggressive. So we should definitely do so. Yeah, I'm rooted. I'm actually a defense first guy. I don't think you can win without it. Defense feeds the offense, feeds the best offense, if you will. Both sides have to marry up. We are extremely united in our approach here. I don't think there's any turf battles in the way the game is approached, where it's an offense versus defense thing. I think Nick would tell you, having played against each other and grown up coaching against each other, that, defense has always been, kind of important to the teams that I've been involved with as well. So
thank you. We'll look forward to seeing you guys in action.
Thank you.
And we'll end on Louis Satzman from Raptors Republic.
Hey, Coach. Wonderful to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So just following up on an offense question, you talked about things that could help a guy like Pascal. I was curious, though, what elements of his game, him as a person offensively, are you most excited to work with?
Well, I think he's extremely dynamic. I think we could probably generate some more playmaking from him. I mean, you showed in the bubble what a crowd he's going to draw, and let's be honest, that's where we're trying to be good at the end of the season when it matters most. So, creating offense for his teammates. If you can get two on the ball, you're getting an advantage pretty much everywhere else. I think these are things we can use to our advantage with him. Rather than just kind of a great scorer, which he has been able to come as a scorer at all different capacities. I think, now we can turn some of that attack mindset into shots for others. I think that's one. I think we can improve his 3-point shooting. I think that has a lot to do, not just with the practice he's going to put in and getting up shots with his form and his approach, but also just his shot selection. When you start looking at these things, they become quite granular, and there's certain shots, not all 3-point shots are the same. And there's some that, you can trend towards and some you can stay away from. We did things similarly with Brandon Ingram. Did a great job of trending him towards the things that suited him a little bit better, and it turned out to be a most improved player of the season award, and that was mostly due to his buy-in. So we got to get Pascal to buy into this stuff, but I think from what I understand, he wants to be great in the playoffs, as all great players do. You know, I think that gives us an excellent teaching point to go forward from, because that's where we're really going to start.
You mentioned Brendan Ingram. He and Siakam are both such long players and really good dribblers as well for their size. Do you see similarities there?
Oh, I absolutely do see similarities. You know, the game has become positionless. It's almost flipped now. You have bigs or 4 men or these combo forwards who are out on the floor in playmaking, in ball handling situations that, you know, they weren't necessarily in 10 years ago. And so, you know, Giannis is an excellent example of this, you know, but they now have to be able to kind of read all the defenses that they're going to see. Like, guards are more familiar with these types of reads and these types of looks that they get. I saw James Harden go through the same thing, you know, in his playoff journey early on. Every year it was like a different type of defense that would maybe bog him down. And sometimes that happened in the first round, sometimes second round, third, and his growth was, you know, impressive. But he had to learn through these experiences what he needed to now do, and then use the defense basically against itself and kind of not fight the game. That's a big thing I'm big proponent of, is just don't fight the game and make it easier for yourself and your teammates.
Thanks, Coach. Really appreciate the answers.